We got our first big matchup in men's college basketball, the Armed Forces Classic with Michigan State. Tom Izzo taking on the Gonzaga Zags. This should be a very good game. Our first big one, if you will. It's going to take place on the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier, and it should be a very good game. We've seen some good matchups already in their first games for the Spartans and for the Zags, so we can see what happens when they get some good competition. Welcome to Slasher U. I'm your host, Christian Rao, here with my co-host, Steve Feck, and we are going to break down our thoughts before tip-off. Steve, what's going on?
Oh, I mean, again, it's been an exciting first week, and then to have going into the weekend, have a game like this, there's so much more to this particular game than just, and we'll talk about the two teams, but I mean, to be being played on the Abraham Lincoln, to be being played really in front of servicemen, as logistically difficult as games like this might be at times, I think it's a really, really important statement. It's on Veterans Day. It's going to be must-watch TV. I mean, again, I got my Pitt and West Virginia gear on. They're playing the same night, but my eyes are going to be on this game. And it's also not about let's improve our ranking now. Tom Izzo and Mark Bew schedule games like this early or accept invitations to games like this early because they want to help get their team set up better to compete during March Madness. So this has all of the bells and whistles that you want as a college basketball fan, and to have it happen on the first week of the year, amazing.
Yeah, when you look at how they each fared against their week one or game one opponents, if you will, Gonzaga on the stat line looked a lot better than Michigan State did. They field goal percentage was 63% compared to the Spartans, who's at 44%. You saw 15 steals for the Zags, only 6 for the Spartans. And on the rebounding game, it was actually about pretty even, about 46 for the Spartans and 41 for Gonzaga. The spread for this game is 10 points. We're not going to dig too much into spreads here when we talk about college basketball, but the reason I bring it up is because I don't think that Michigan State is going to lose by 10 points. I think this game is going to be a lot closer by it is. And let's break down these thoughts on this. Let's start with Gonzaga first. We've seen the number 2 team in the country. They have high expectations, and I'm sure that those expectations aren't going to change anytime soon. And I think they have a good chance of winning this ball game. And the expectations, obviously, with Drew Timme doing fantastic. He looked very good in that first game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another great outing by him, but he's not the only guy that has good offensive production, Steve.
No, he's not. And again, in Gonzaga's opening game, and we talked about it when we did the review of that game, they did everything that you were expected them to do and what you needed them to do, what Mark Bew needed to see from them. They weren't overlooking their opponent. They weren't trying to humiliate them or blow them out of the building. They were putting what was happening on the practice floor into game time situations and sort of advancing it that way. Gonzaga is a deep, deep basketball team. And Drew Timme is the guy that everybody is going to talk about for good reasons. But keep track of who's rotating in and out, who Bew is running out there, because these guys are all going to get serious minutes, not only in games like this, but all through the season, all through the WCC. And then come tournament time, these guys are going to be ready. They're going to be ready for the moment. That's why, Bew doesn't back down. I mean, you think of Gonzaga and it's like, oh, it's, David versus Goliath, that kind of a deal, but not anymore. Bew has built this into a giant of a program. People want to go to Gonzaga. International players, when they talk about destinations going to the States, Gonzaga is one of the first words you hear coming out of their mouth or through the translator. Players want to play for Bew. They want to play in that program. So I can't wait, and it's great for these players because they know that Tom Izzo is going to come up with something that they haven't seen on tape yet, and it's going to be put into play in the game, and it's going to teach them to be able to react on the fly. So that's what I'm interested in seeing. If Gonzaga has a hard time making adjustments to what Izzo's throwing out there at them, That's where that game being under 10 points. And again, betting college basketball, betting any basketball is a sucker bet. But this is one of those times that I would say to you, you might want to take the 10 points and go with Michigan State. Michigan State's, not some small Division III school or conference. This is a Big Ten powerhouse. So maybe the bookies know something that we don't know. We shouldn't call them bookies. The odds makers.
Yeah, right.
The odds makers must know something that we don't know. But I'm with you. I mean, I think this is going to be a competitive game right down to the end. It will probably be decided by free throws down the stretch.
It could be the case, and if that is the case, I think that we could see Gonzaga doing very well. Speaking of their rotation, we saw 7 players in their win against North Florida. They won 104-63. Gonzaga played 7 players for over 20 minutes. They did get Reed in for 12 minutes. I'm not sure if we'll see that happen again. I think we probably will see a 7-man rotation with the Zags against Tom Izzo's Spartans. That's my thought on that process. So, but pay attention, just like you said, on who rotates in and rotates out. On the Michigan State side, they played Northern Arizona and they won 73-55. This was a good game. And I know the score is not as high as what Gonzaga looked like, but there was a lot of concerns about, can Izzo's team be one of these top teams? Can they lead the Big Ten? Can they even make the NCAA tournament this year? Is this one of those teams that they can do it for them? Well, I think that we saw some very good things on this team. I think some of the concerns, I wouldn't say out the window, but I would say they're a lot less concerning now after seeing them on the court for 40 minutes now. I was really, really impressed by seeing what I saw from Hauser. Joey Hauser, I thought, was absolutely incredible. They facilitated the ball to him, and he played really well. He had 18 points. He looked pretty good from the three-point line in the first half. In the second half, he actually started to get a little cold. And still found a way to get 18 points. Now, we're going to want to be able to figure that out against Gonzaga, because you're going to have to play 40 minutes, 40 hard minutes against a team like that. You're not going to be able to, find your flow slowly with this one. So I like what Hauser did. And then another one that you really have to bring up is Jaden Atkins, his return. A lot of issues, a lot of concerns about how well will he play when he does return, or if he does. He had that injury in, I believe, early September, and he came back, and he didn't play a lot of minutes. You could tell that they were kind of slowly bringing him in. I mean, Izzo knows what he's doing. I am never going to question Tom Izzo on this show ever once, not for a single second. I really like what I saw from him. He looked quick. He didn't look like he was holding anything back injury-wise. His shot looked good. He was facilitating properly, and his defensive play was good. Tom Izzo said that this is his best two-way player since Gary Harris. That's saying something.
Wow.
That's saying something a lot. And he's only a sophomore. I really like if he can find a little bit more playing time. I'm sure we're going to see that against Gonzaga, and this time we're not going to see him only play 16 minutes like we did in this last game. But watch out for Akins. I think Hauser and Akins are the two people to pay attention to in this game. I still think Gonzaga wins this game. I would not go. I feel like I'd be mad if I didn't pick the Zags, who are ranked second in the country. However, I think this game is a lot closer than people are giving it credit for. I don't think that we are going to see a 10-point deficit. Maybe at one point, but not when the final buzzer's done.
Yeah, and I think another thing to look for are, okay, we all know the stars, Timmy for Gonzaga, Hauser, Michigan State. But because of where this game is being played, my guess is players are going to need breathers a little more often than in a controlled, environment type of situation. And this is the perfect time for Tom Izzo to be able to get some of those younger players out there, get them some serious minutes. And I'm not saying 25, 30 minutes, but get them 12, 15 minutes, work everybody in. And I think this game is going to give us a clearer snapshot of what Michigan State is going to be able to bring into Big Ten play. It's not so much that Michigan State is a bad basketball team or that they've slipped so far. It's just that the rest of the Big Ten has just gotten so much better.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
no, that's for
so
sure.
so it's more like Michigan State is Michigan State, but man, you've got all those young kids at Indiana, and you've got Illinois that I love watching. Illinois play basketball. Ohio State. There's just so many teams in the Big Ten. Is always a challenge. I think it's the matter of Tom Izzo just finding his watermark and letting his team's head drop below that watermark, and then get into the Big Ten tournament, have him work his magic there, and then maybe they are an NCAA team. I mean, again, when we did our Big Ten preview, I did say I'm not sure they're going to make the tournament. I think that they could be the NIT champions, and that would be a perfect way, kind of an ironic way for Izzo to bow out gracefully, because there's talk about maybe Izzo's nearing the end, just like we saw Krzyzewski leave and Jay Wright leave. Maybe this is time for Tom Izzo to think about a retirement or taking a little bit easier. He certainly earned that, but
he's staying until he's 90.
And that wouldn't surprise me either. But these are the kind of games that you hope for at any time during the year. To have it on the first Friday of college basketball season, it just doesn't get better than that.
I agree completely. We're going to see this game on ESPN at 6:30. If you are viewing this before tip-off, leave us in a comment what you predict the score will be. If you are checking it out afterwards, leave us a comment what you thought the game was about. Really looking forward to this one. Check it out at the USS Abraham Lincoln, 6:30 Eastern Time on Veterans Day on ESPN.